Yo, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Here we are back at the hangar. As you can see, the gyro, there's a little bit something different in the looks of the gyro here. You can see it's got the mast fully folded down. Now, this is actually a feature of this gyro, and as you can see, it allows the gyro to be a little bit more compact if you're going to put it in an enclosed trailer to take it somewhere, or say put it in a shed or a short, lower building during the winter or something like that. So it is actually 6 foot 1 inches to the top when it is folded. So this allows for a lot more compact maneuverability of the gyro if you're not flying it. But in today's video, we got a huge package in the mail yesterday from Dennis. Now, in the last video or a couple videos ago, you guys saw us unbox or open up the instruments over there. Now, in that video, I said that I was gonna wanna do the wiring myself. Now, what I didn't realize is actually how many wires and how complex the wiring is for this gyro. Now, whenever we were speccing the gyro out with Dennis before we purchased it, got it built, he did offer an add-on for a wiring harness for our instruments. So when we got the instruments and I started looking and me and my grandpa started actually talking, we thought it would probably be a little bit better of an idea to get a wiring harness made from Dennis. So that's exactly what we did. And here is the wiring harness right here. And I'm actually, really glad we got it made through Dennis, because this is all the wire that's going to be stripped through the keel and everything like that. Sent us some extra spare wires, fuses right here. Even made our push to talk for the grip. And everything is nice and labeled just like in Dennis's fashion here. You see 4 headphones. That one is microphone and mic cable. All this spare wire. Then all of these are actually labeled right there. You can kind of see this one is for ignition. This one is battery negative. Everything is all labeled, all nice and pretty, and the wiring harness looks absolutely incredible. It's all wrapped, so it'll be easy to pull through the actual machine. And then with this, Dennis also sends us over, it's a very, very nice, detailed, huge list of all the wiring specs for every little part of the wire, as well as where to pull it through. Here's how to pull it through, and then here's for the engine sensors and power. Here's all the way the wires are routed, as well as how everything should be connected through the connectors, everything like that. So definitely glad we went ahead and just got the wiring harness made by them, because it was definitely saving us a huge amount of time trying to figure out. I mean, just look at this massive bundle of wires that we had no clue how to even really actually start. So he's even got it wrapped here for ready to pull. So that is what we're going to be working on today, is getting that wiring harness pulled through the keel and kind of starting to plan out how we're going to attack wiring up the wiring harness to the actual instruments. So the first plan is, if we come down here to the bottom of the gyro here and we look underneath here, you can see there is the first part right here. And actually I have a cover, he sends us a cover for that as well. But that's one part on how you start the wiring harness in. You kind of stick it up in there as it shows in that diagram, pull it down and out, and then it comes out in this little grommet back here. Comes out right in that little grommet right there. And then that allows it to either go up into the top mast or to wherever we need it to go. So let's get this wiring harness thrown in the gyro. Okay, so I know in the last scene I said that it goes from up the front, back, and pulled out the back. After I actually read the actual installation procedures, I was wrong. It goes down in the back, pulled through, and then you pull it down, stretch it out all the way and get the wiring all the way in, and then pull it back up through into the pod, which will come out of this tube right here. So this tube goes down and it actually connects in that little hole that I showed you guys on the bottom. So I've got the wiring harness pulled out over here. Obviously all the instructions tell me that that is the pod end, and it even actually says it on the end here right there. I don't know if it'll focus on that. Maybe. There it is. So there's the pod end, and then that's also the battery positive as well. It's also labeled there for, it's also labeled there for battery positive. And obviously all of these, all the procedure instructions explain where to put what and how to get this into the machine. So now what I'm gonna do is, before I send a string, try and get a string up all the way back and out, I'm just gonna see if I can fish this front part and just kind of push it through the back and see if I can get it to at least where I can grab it up the front. So yeah, let's start putting this wiring harness in the machine. This through this bottom part here and see if I can just fish it out, which I'm actually already running into it. So like I'm trying to run it where it's not gonna get caught if I start snaking it. So I'm trying to make it an easy. It already looks like it doesn't wanna. What I'm not doing is I'm not gonna try and force anything really hard, just because I don't want any damage to come to the wire. So I can hear it now going through. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go check down here, see if I can even see it, if it's coming, and maybe feel it. I don't feel anything. Come here. So in the procedures, it says for 22 inches of wire with no slack, of all wires. So we've got wires on both ends here. I think the camera may be able to see that. Got wire down here, and still plenty of wire back here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a tape measure. I'm gonna measure that end and see how much we have out. So right here is the tube that it's got to run through, and that goes kind of through the upper part here, and that goes straight up to the pod. It's kind of at an angle like that. But if we come over and look at the instructions here, you can see here total 29 inches of all the wires. And then here is the instructions to run it up to the pod. So I'm gonna check these out, and then we'll get everything ready on the machine to run it up to where the pod goes. Okay, so one thing I'm gonna try before I actually try and just run it straight up through the tube is, I'm pretty sure these instructions are for if you already have the pod mounted. Well, we do not have the pod mounted yet, so I think it will be easier if I pull the cables back a little bit and just run it straight up through where the pipe would be, and then I'm not trying to also pull it directly through the pipe or through the tube that goes up to the instrument pod, and I can just kind of guide it right up, making sure that all the wires are nice and neat. I don't want to slam any of the wires really hard, kind of keeping them off that sharp edge, just kind of running them up like that. Run it up through there, and then what I can do now is I can take the tube, kind of fish the first part down the tube, and I can just hold the wires tight and run the tube down. And obviously I'm gonna have to kind of adjust some things there, but that is kind of like what. So the instructions I think are pretty, the instructions are really straightforward. They're also, I think it's meant for people that have already mounted their pod. We have not yet, so kind of pulling it straight up through that grommet kind of was a little easier, I think, than trying to also fish it through the tube as well. Okay, so what I can actually do now is, so you can see here's the wires out, and one thing it notes in the procedural and the installation instructions is that once everything is in, there should be 10 inches of wire exposed, of all wires, except for this should be 22 inches long. So this is what I was talking about, is it's already kind of in there like that. And so the tube's got to go down like this in between those. So I'm just gonna take this and just run it through here. Try not to make sure this stuff hits anything. So I'm keeping all these wires nice and straight. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually straighten this out there, and then just straighten the wires out and slide the tube down to that grommet. Just like so. Just like that. And now these two things right here hold that tube in place. And then we've got our wires. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure these here and see how much we have sticking out of the top of this tube. So if we go from the bottom of the tube to the top, we have just right at 10 inches. And if we go from the tube to the top there, we have, if I can hold it right, we have about 24 inches of the pod end, but that's fine, it's gonna be snipped anyway. I'm gonna actually push this down just a little bit. What I can do is I can come down here to this and actually feel what it feels. Make sure it's not on any of that sharp metal. Down on that grommet, on the other side of the grommet. Make sure that this tube is not pinching any wires. So here is kind of a look here. Here's the wires coming up at the top where the pod will be. And then here is the back part right here, where the rest of the wires can either go up into the top mast for any kind of rotor RPM or the lights up at the top right there, or go up to the motor, the battery, any of the fuel systems or anything like that. So I want you guys to know that that wiring harness is worth it. That, I know that we haven't actually started wiring it anything up yet. That's just running it through the actual machine. But if you were trying to do that on your own and trying to make sure you had the right links and everything like that, that would be very complicated. I'm not a pro wirer or anything like that. So maybe if you had more experience on it, it wouldn't be as hard, but that would probably take me a month or so to actually figure out all those wiring situations. So having that instruction manual and the actual pre-cut size wires are already labeled, marked, everything like that. They're meant for this machine, designed this machine. So the man knows what he's doing, and that really helped a lot. I mean, yeah, we did just run the wires, but that took me probably all of about 15 minutes to do, maybe not even that. Now, the hard part comes with actually figuring out where to wire all of these wires, but taking a little bit of the harder part out of actually trying to figure out the links, where to run the wires and all of that, just with the wiring harness and the instruction manual, is a lifesaver, and it's definitely well worth it. So if you guys are going to get one of these machines, I do highly suggest to have Dennis make you a wiring harness. It's going to be well worth it.